Stop scrolling and watch this.
An executive at JP Morgan said regulators, quote, put the fear of God in you if you did business with people like Donald Trump. Meanwhile, speaking of weaponization of government, a fascinating piece by Charlie Gasparino over at the New York Post about JP Morgan and Bank of America. So President Trump yesterday announced that he would be pushing forward with a plan to stop the debanking of people on the basis of politics. He did an interview with MSNBC, and there he talked about being personally debanked by both JP Morgan Chase and Bank of America. According to Charlie Gasparino over at the New York Post, JP Morgan and Bank of America debanked President Trump for his role in the January 6th Capitol Hill melee following pressure from the Biden administration's banking regulators and the Federal Reserve. People with direct knowledge of the matter tell the New York Post. The exact reason for Trump and his tens of millions of dollars in holdings being kicked off the JP Morgan banking platform and then denied access to Bank of America services has yet to be actually reported. But sources at the banks confirmed the cause stemmed from the controversy surrounding January 6th and threats from Joe Biden's bank regulators that banking the former president's money put them at danger of falling afoul of a rule that prohibit financial institutions from doing business with individuals and companies that present a reputational risk. Apparently, people at those banks told the New York Post that Biden's banking cops at the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, the FDIC, and the Federal Reserve often use the nebulous nature of that edict to go beyond debanking money launderers and drug kingpins, and instead, they're pressured to include people who have heterodox political and business ties, often including conservatives and anyone who participated in the January 6th protests. An executive at JP Morgan said regulators, quote, put the fear of God in you if you did business with people like Donald Trump. Another banking executive said, think back to what it was like being Trump back in 2021. He was a hot potato after January 6th. The regulators made it clear that we shouldn't do business with him. So President Trump has now made a move to try and stop this sort of activity. Bank executives and lobbying groups are pushing broadly back against the assertion that people are being debanked. But President Trump says that there is going to be action by the administration to stop the debanking of people who are politically heterodox. And of course, this makes a fair bit of sense. I mean, the reality is that when you're talking about the possibility of people not being able to access their money or put their money in a bank because they have political opinions that others don't find to be within the purview of the appropriate, what's the limiting principle there? The problem is the collusion that we have seen in the tech sector, for example, between these major companies deplatforming people, and the collusion that would presumably follow in the banking sector could mean the unpersoning of wide swaths of people. And we have seen that when there's no limiting principle, when there's no actual enforceable principle there, and it just becomes ad hoc, well, that means that the former and future president of the United States could find himself without a place to park his money, which is a major problem in the United States. So good for President Trump for taking a look at that.